Oh, I got an alert on my YouTube, our Cozy Corner YouTube, that the last video had the most views we've ever had. We got 12 views. Like a big deal, right? Okay. Um, so before I do anything else, I just want to preface this with a trigger warning about the book that we're doing, which is The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict. I always want to call it the murder house, but it's the murder game. And the trigger warnings are an immense amount of grief is experienced in the book, unresolved grief, trauma, murder, and suicide. Just in case anybody's viewing this on YouTube and that's not something they want to watch, I want them to be able to have the choice to scroll off. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and share my wheel. Can everybody see the wheel now? No, we cannot see the wheel. Okay, let me stop sharing. Or maybe it could
Good.
be
We can see it now.
can you see it now? Is it cool? Okay, let's go ahead and see who won the contest for the quiz. Oh, awesome. Robin won. Okay, so cool. I wonder if Robin's going to make it. I know Robin has a lot of sick family right now. How do I stop this? Okay, there should be a little button that says stop share. Stop share. There we go. Great. Okay. Robin may be coming. But we're going to go ahead and get started because we have so much to cover. Jameson, hello. Thank you for being here. I didn't know if you were just off screen or if you are absent from the. Oh, I see. You unmuted it. You're here.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's wrong. My camera keeps saying like I'm gonna have to get IT to look at my camera tomorrow. It's
Oh,
not cooperating. But I'm glad to see you all.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's okay. I'm just so glad you're here. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is Melody's question. And she wanted to know, do you think Lily is a reliable narrator? And we sort of touched upon this last week, but I think we know even more now. So we're going to start with Tiff and go backwards on the alphabet for this one.
I don't think that Lily is a reliable narrator. The main reason I think that is because like she has been through a lot of trauma, and going through trauma like that can cause you to either like not remember things intentionally or remember them differently. And so that's kind of how I think about it, is like it was so traumatic for her, whatever happened with her mother, that I don't know that she actually remembers what happened.
I think so too. And she even kind of mentions that she locked all of it away when she left. And so it's like she hasn't had access to those memories or really thought about it in a long time. And we do have 10 members tonight. So if what you want to say, somebody's already said you have the option to skip at any point, okay? Go ahead, Tara. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so one of the quotes that I actually picked out was memory distorts facts like a fairground mirror. And so I think because that's her, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe she remembers, maybe she doesn't, maybe it's her perception of the memory, which is different than other people's perceptions. So I think what she's telling is her story. Um, but I don't know that other people's would match that.
I think you're accurate. I think though we all have that. We all have a schema. We all have a lens. It's all different. And then you add on her trauma on top of it, and it just really. But I love that quote. Excellent. Melody, what were your thoughts?
I'm gonna have to agree with Tiff. That's exactly what I was thinking. Especially like her memories of the way Sarah grew up. It's not at all, I don't think, what Sarah remembers. So she's starting to come to realize that like or I don't even know if she's realizing it, but definitely memories are not matching what really happened. So I don't think we can really trust any of her memories or thoughts about things that have happened.
No, I don't think so either. bless her heart, I think she's kind of put on some rose glasses. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think theirs are just dark, you know? I think they both took that trauma and twisted it in their own way. But then we also have to remember, you know, as horrible as her mom might have been to her, Sarah had a mom and Lily didn't, you know? So it really changes things for both of them. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting. How about you, Udi?
I'm honestly not entirely too sure about that. I think she might be of solid state and she's just remembering accurately and they don't remember because they were never there. Lily was always the one with Grandma Violet. She was always the one with, Aunt Liliana and then her mom. She was always the one around. So I'm thinking she's remembering correctly and everybody else is remembering differently. But I'm curious to see what everybody's going to tell her because like Ronnie had a secret,
Yes. Yes, I think
and
that's a
people.
really interesting point. She did spend the most time with the women of the family. She seems to know all of them and was a favorite of all of them. So that's a really good point. Where the others were kind of ostracized, you know,
Mhm.
a little bit. Yeah, that's a good take. How about you, Melissa?
I agree with everyone. I also highlighted the same quote that Tara had as well about the memory and the mirror. So I agree. Her memories are not
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to say just yet to make a concise decision, but I don't know. Something seems off. How about you, Karen?
I am not sure yet. I'm kind of like on the fence on whether or not she's unreliable. So, plus I kind of rushed through this last part, so I kind of to get on. So, I think I agree with a lot of others that are saying, everybody has a different experience, and even though a lot of them are cousins, and um, but they all have different perceptions of what happened back in their childhood.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
think it's also interesting to state that Liliana kind of played mind games all the time, it seems, and communicates in riddles. And that has to be weird as a child. So I just wonder what that's like for their recall as well. How about you, Jameson?
I think that she's not reliable, but I think it's because somebody's manipulating the information that she has. Like I feel like she really remembers what she's saying, and I feel like her memories are reliable, but that someone has manipulated those memories.
Mm,
If that makes sense.
yeah, no, it does. It does, especially when you experience a really serious trauma. Yeah, especially at a young age. That's interesting too. How about you, Emily? Do you have any thoughts?
I do. I understand where everybody's coming from and thinking that she's an unreliable narrator. Um, I don't think she's entirely reliable in the sense that every person's perspective is different. Typically, though, with an unreliable narrator, it's told in first person, typically. And we're seeing this in third person. So we actually have a third person, not really omniscient, but clear view of her perspective. Um, I don't think she's reliable, but I'm not sure if I would say that she's truly the narrator. We have a narrator that has an overview of each person's kind of perspective. And so we're seeing kind of their emotions, not just seeing the emotions through her eyes, with it being told in third person.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, wow. Aaron, how about you?
Um, I also don't think she is, just because I feel like she has blocked out a lot of her childhood memories. Because I can't think of anything like right now, but as I'm reading, I think to myself, like, she is super smart and she can figure out these puzzles and these riddles so quickly, but like the puzzle of her life, she can't figure it out. And then it's like she can't remember things that happened until suddenly she does. It's like she almost like she blocked them out and now she's remembering. So I think that's the reason why she's unreliable, is that her memories are coming back to her now, even though she doesn't want to remember them, but she has to like force herself to do it to figure out what happened to her mom.
That's so true. As somebody who's kind of gone through that, when they first come back, they're a little hazy. They're a little distorted. In fact, I feel like she may have more and more revelations. I think that's a really good point, like the flashback. And then also, like Jameson had said, I feel like there's so many different people putting their opinions in on her that it's kind of distorting it as well. She's just a fascinating character. I'd like you guys to share any of your favorite quotes if you've had them, only because this book is filled with so many valuable ones. And if you don't have them, that's okay. If you have a favorite moment or anything you would really like to share, a theme, we'll just start back with Erin.
I did highlight a quote, but my Kindle just died, so now I can't find it. But I don't remember if you guys know, if you maybe someone else highlighted it, maybe not. Somebody said like, what else could possibly go wrong? And Mrs. Castle said like, don't ask that question. I can't remember the exact quote, but that's the one that really stood out to me this time. So
Yeah. Don't
Tiff
tempt
remembers
fate.
it.
The universe is never ever playing around. Basically, like,
Yeah,
don't ever ask that question because then you inevitably invite that.
yeah.
Yeah, that hits me
Yeah,
too.
I
I feel
highlighted
that.
that. It says, never ask that question. Mrs. Castle replies, fate has a tendency to answer.
Yes, it does. It does. And if you guys remember from Wild, Cheryl Strayed said, if there's one thing that I know for sure, the universe is never ever fucking around. Like she said she hated those boots and then she lost one over the cliff. Like you do not want to mess with it. How about you, Emily?
I didn't really have any specific ones, but there were a lot of things that obviously Mrs. Castle says, but also that Tom says. But I love the contradiction of Tom. So like he has all these insights and stuff because of him being like a therapist, right? But then he's like when Philippa dies, like when she's murdered, he's like I'm trained on what to say, but like I have no idea how to handle the situation when it's happening to my cousin. Like I don't, or brother. He's like I don't know. Like what do I do? And so I love a lot of the things that he says because they're very significant as far as like the mental health side goes. But he's so real, so
Yeah, he's
but nothing
become
specific stuck out.
Yeah, he's become very endearing. So he's so wise and he's full of information, but also he becomes so childlike and so eager to do like the game. You know what I mean? The game.
Yeah, I
Like
love his excitement.
yeah, he has a very good presence, but that worries me sometimes. When I get attached, then they're usually I tend to attract to the bad guy. So, how about you, Jameson? Did you have any?
I also didn't write it down, so maybe somebody else knows it exactly, but there was a quote about fear and anger being opposite sides of a coin or something like that, and it made me feel like Lily keeps saying, I don't want this house, I don't want this house, and it made me feel like her fear and her hurt and her anger towards all of it, like her anger that she has is really like she's afraid that she's gonna find out
Yeah,
what actually happened.
I wholeheartedly agree. In fact, I think she's afraid of it a little bit. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Udi, do you have your hand raised?
Yes, I actually have that quote highlighted, so I can tell it to you. Fear and excitement are twins. They live on opposite sides of the same door. It's up to you to which room you live in.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I sometimes I don't know either. Like if I'm super excited for something, I get anxious and I can't tell what emotion it is that I'm feeling because they feel so similar. How about you, Karen?
Um, I like the quote that Udi just said because I had that highlighted as well. Um, I don't really have any other quotes that I was thinking about, but I don't know. I kind of think it's funny when Lily and Tom are looking for clues together that they to me they kind of remind me of like a Scooby-Doo episode where they're like running around trying to find the clue or the key and they're just funny. I together I kind of like them as, I know that they were close when they were younger.
I'm enjoying it too. I'm enjoying it too. I really like the way that he supports her genius. Like he kind of feeds it and he gets
Right.
excited and you can see them both light up. It's like a connection.
Yeah.
I dig it too. And it's so Scooby-Doo like. I definitely see that. There's a lot of similarities to this book with a lot of different things that I've noticed. I mean, that's definitely one of them. How about you, Melissa? Did you have any?
I had the mirror one. That was probably my favorite. But I also had sisters will always have an issue with their sisters, which is true for me. I have a sister, a younger sister, and we're always fighting. Unless one of us needs something, then we're always there, but we're always fighting.
Yeah, that's I found that the closer that you are in age, the more difficult it is. And these, because Lily is an adopted type of sibling, they're so close, you know? It's like neither one of them have their own space. But yeah, very true. How about you, Udi?
Those were all my quotes, but the scene when Ronnie found Philippa and he was just cradling her and he was in shock the entire time. That really resonated with me because I feel like that if I found my significant other dead like that, that's how I would react. I would go into a blind state and I don't think I would be able to come out of that.
Yeah.
I would choose to live in denial that rather than live in reality of my husband not being, that was hard.
They would have had to sedate me as well, I feel. Yeah, absolutely. I would have just, yeah. Melody, I can't even fathom it, to even talk on it. But yeah, very similar feeling. Melody, how about you?
Okay, so mine's a little different than all of yours. You're all
Mine are
talking
two
about,
so far, so I'm
well,
curious what you have.
I am very suspicious of Tom. I wasn't at first, but then I read a description that Lily said. His eyes are wide and as blue as the sky behind him. It's amazing that something so clear could yield snow. And I read that and I went, so snow can be blinding, it can be deadly, it can be dangerous, it can be beautiful. But he seems like he's trying to goad her into answering these clues by saying, "Oh, you don't want to let Sarah beat you." Just pushing, like trying to be supportive, but I don't get that impression that he's genuine about it.
I told you I had feelings.
Yeah, I don't,
Suspicion.
I don't know. And okay, so he named his car. Did you guys look up that woman?
Yeah, I
Good.
named my car, so I related.
Did you look up the name of the car? The
No,
Julia
I
Kristeva?
didn't. Did you?
Yeah, I did. And it was because of the last book where you guys were looking up all the names. So
Yeah.
I had to look that up. This woman is very intelligent. Like her genius levels well be above my pay grade, but she studied semiotics, which is like symbolism, finding symbolism, and it's about like a lot of what she did was about connections to the mother. Let's
Ooh.
see. Female children continue to identify to some degree with the mother figure, most likely to retain a close connection to the semiotic. About being depressed. It was very difficult to understand, but it was a lot about having that connection to the mother and seeing symbols having to do with that everywhere.
Oh, I love that. And the way that this plays into the book. Oh, how awesome. That's great. You looked it up.
And I thought that was a little strange that he named his car that
It
after that
is.
woman. I mean, I know he's a psychologist and she's a psychoanalyst as well, but
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah, I just anytime I feel good about somebody, I start wondering. Yeah, that's fascinating. I was wondering if you guys had that same, feeling. How about you, Tara?
I had pretty much the same quotes that you guys did. The only other one that I highlighted, and it's just because I related to it so much, was when she was talking about like being mindful and like meditating. And she said she's only mindful, this is Lily, she's only mindful of how minutes drag their feet in the classes, that she's supposed to let thoughts go like balloons and watch them drift across the sky of her mind without any attachment to them, their strings hanging free as they float away. She's holding onto the strings she can't let go. And I was like, yeah, same girl.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I try to do guided meditation and I fall asleep. And if I try to do it on my own, I go to Narnia. I'm just like not doing what I'm supposed to do. And then Tara, how about you? Did you have any? It's okay, no problem. We all have problems with unmuting.
Yeah.
There you go.
It would not come up. Okay, so other than that mirror one, I really liked when she was thinking about how grandma gave her the key and that she said keys give you freedom, but they also protect you, keep you safe. So I liked that one. And
I love
then I
them.
had one more. Um, and it was what was happening during this part? I forget. Oh, the grandma said that people underestimated her throughout her life. So, the part that I liked was, um, you pay for it in other ways, but it means you can slip through the gaps, like wind in the walls, like ghosts in a house, hearing everything, saying nothing until the time it will scare people the most. Um, and I just keep feeling like that's gonna be her. Like she's gonna end up doing something wild or something's going to happen where um she's going to like be the center of attention that she doesn't want to be.
Yeah. I almost wonder, I don't know, like Emily said, this she's not the narrator necessarily. So we don't necessarily know if there's some type of deep feeling or motive because that's kind of omitted. It's more of like what she's doing and what she may be feeling. It's just there may be something more there that we don't know yet. I have two I wanted to share that I related to most. The first one was Lily was in the back seat, squished between Sarah and Gray. Sarah had her arms folded and was jabbing her elbow into Lily's side, but Lily could barely feel it. She hardly felt anything at all. It was as if her whole body was left in the house and the rest of her being was taking down south, far away from the home where her mom had lived and her mom had died. Lily was a reverse ghost. She was still alive, but not in her body. It was numb, as if placed in the ice house ever since she found her mom died. I think that's when Lily started dissociating. I think that's when she started breaking off the memories and like compartmentalizing them. And then the other one that really hit my feels was this is hard stuff. Lily took the key from around her neck and handed it to Gray. His silver eyes held hers for a moment and were full of softness, like the gray pelt of a cat rubbing against her face. His kindness made her feel just as allergic to the kindness as she is to cats. She looked away and could feel hurting radiating from him. She put walls up against that too. She would be her own maze, constructed wall after wall, get lost within it, then no one else could get in and she couldn't get out. I think somehow she has isolated herself so much. She even says this when Philippa is killed. Basically, when you depend on somebody that much, the devastation of Ronnie, and that's why it's better to be alone. I related to all of those things, so I wanted to bring them up. So let's move on. So we'll do a thumbs up on this one. or thumbs down. So thumbs up, yes, thumbs down, no. Do we think Mrs. Castle is a part of the family? Wow. Okay, Jameson. Oh, and Aaron is an up. Okay. Jameson, do you think so?
No, I think she had something going on with her grandmother, though.
That's interesting. So let's break this down just for 1 second. I just want to remind you guys. So we have Victoria, we have Violet, the grandma, right? She's supposed to be a spy and a code breaker. Then we have Mariana, who supposedly committed suicide because she couldn't deal with being a mother. Then we have Victoria, who apparently said something really horrible at dinner. Lily overhears the conversation between Liliana and Violet, and they think that led to the possible suicide. Then we have Liliana, who talks in riddles, who is cruel, downright mean to Sarah. I don't know. Like, it's not a wonder these cousins are screwed up. These women are not functioning with the full deck. Like, none of them were good parental figures, in my opinion. I just wanted to, and then Aaron had asked me earlier, um, Rachel, Tom, and Ronnie are from Victoria. Lily is from Mariana, and then Liliana had Sarah and Gray. Going forward with the questions, because we're going to get into some familial stuff. So Melissa had asked, why do you think Felicia was killed? Is it Felicia or Philippa? Does anybody know? I think it's an
It's
ER.
it's Philippa, I think.
Okay, Philippa.
Yeah.
Philippa. Okay. Um, do you think it's somebody in the house, or do you guys think it's somebody that is invading the house? Do you have a theory? And we'll start with Tiff.
I definitely think it's somebody not in the house. Um, I just think that I don't know. I just feel like there's somebody else I think, however, that it was maybe orchestrated by somebody in the house, but I think somebody not in the house is involved.
Oh, you think maybe like a hitman?
Kind of, yeah.
Sorta. Oh, that.
I'm
Oh,
still honestly like she hasn't been mentioned much, but I'm still like, where you
Isabel.
at, Isabel? Like, what you doing?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. How about you, Tara? Do you have a theory?
Um, I think it's somebody in the house. I don't know
Mhm.
who, but I think that it's somebody in the house is just like trying to make other people not win.
Yeah. So my question for you all with this is, it seems that people who have the key gets killed, but Sarah has 3 keys now, and she hasn't been killed, which is weird. Melody, how about you? Do you have a theory?
I don't necessarily think they're getting killed for their keys. I think they're getting killed because they know something about Lily's mother and possibly the other deaths that have happened there, because Ronnie was going to tell her something. And I think it was probably something about that. And he ended up dying. Philippa maybe knew the same thing he knew, or saw something, read something. I don't know. But I don't necessarily think that the deaths all have to do with the key. I think it's more about the secrets.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe
Yep.
not the inheritance of the house, but what secrets they'll find out if they get into that room, or like what's going to be unveiled
Right.
necessarily. Okay, that's a really good theory. That's a really good theory because there's definitely tons of secrets, maybe criminal ones. How about you, Udi?
I have a million theories.
It's hard.
But one of them, I think there could be someone in the house. I think it could be Tom, just because he is right there with Lily. He knows how Lily works. Um, but also, it could be somebody that died that isn't really dead, because now we know that there's fake blood,
Right.
and it could have been a fake, suicide. They could have planted it. Maybe Felipe's not really dead. Who's to know? Someone could have been lying that she wasn't dead, and it could just be a fake mannequin and they could be putting her, like holding him hostage or something. So there's a theory there. And then outside of the house, maybe there's an illegitimate child that grew up somewhere that knows it. Maybe Isabel is that illegitimate child. Well, no, she's not illegitimate, but we know who she is. But like, is there an illegitimate child? Because they were popping off kids like nobody's business.
Yes, they were.
And we don't know who Lily's dad is. I think it's Uncle Edward.
I do too. I think that is
Because
why Victoria said something horrible to Mariana. I
yes,
think that's why she can't handle Lily being alive.
uh-huh. And there's somebody outside of the house. There's definitely somebody's creeping around out there. I don't know if it's just some rando because, the house was uninhabited for so long and they could just be squatting there. Or it could be Isabel. We don't know where she's actually at. She said she's gone, but she does have a role to play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Mrs. Castle, who knows what she's doing too. I think she was a lover. I think she was her
Oh,
lover.
yeah. A lot of people think that. There's a lot of lesbians in this family too, which is,
I know. It surprised me with Sarah. At first, I thought
yeah,
maybe it was Sarah and Gray, but then when
yeah.
she panned over and said that the door to Holly, you naughty bitch. I'm just
Uh-huh.
like, when is Rachel gonna fucking find out? And that's sad because I can't remember if it was Ronnie or Tom that mentioned it, that it was the happiest they've seen Rachel.
Yes. And they have a kid. Yeah,
And they have a kid. Yeah. I don't know. I got a lot of theories. I don't know.
me too. This family is something else. How about you, Melissa?
I agree with Tiff. I think it's someone on the inside and on the outside. Like, I think Philippa was maybe involved a little more than we thought because she was going down to meet somebody. So I'm thinking maybe if it was Isabella, maybe Isabella had to get rid of her to keep her secrets as well. Um, but I'm not sure. I'm also thinking maybe Robert is the father of Lily, which is Liliana's dad. Um, or Liliana's
Oh,
her ex-husband. So Sarah and Gray's father.
and you think maybe that's why Lily's like her favorite and like,
Yes.
okay, okay,
So like maybe someone knew the parentage there. So
right,
maybe Sarah or Gray killed her to keep that part a secret.
right, right. Oh, okay. How about you, Karen?
I've been thinking it's Gray. Um, he just seems a little off to me, like the
Mhm.
way he communicates with others. And I think he has been, I guess, in my opinion, bullied by Sarah all his life.
Mhm.
Um, and I think, again, I agree with other people. I think it's related to the past murders of Lily's mom. I
Yeah.
um, but I am interested in the paternity of some of these people to to understand like
My
the connections.
my challenge for you is psychologically speaking, notoriously, people who self-harm usually don't harm others. So the harm and the diabolicalness goes inward versus outward. And we know he self-harmed. That was where it kind of canceled out for me. I was following you until it came out that he cut, basically. And then I thought, oh no, I don't know. He's just messed up. I don't necessarily know if he's, you know what I mean? And I kind of get the vibe, but if he was, it could be so that he can like do his, mortician stuff. But yeah, I have questions with him too. I get a weird thing there. Good evening, Robin. It's so good to see your smiling face. How's the house? Are people better? No, I had a feeling that might be why you were running a little late.
I was actually like, we have our winter show next week, and I am just a chicken with my head cut off. So that's all.
Oh, oh,
I was
honey.
running errands and got waylaid. So,
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here. It's so nice to see you. Um, you won. By the way, you won the Clue quiz game.
What?
You won this wheel spin, so just so you know, you won.
Yay!
And then the question that we're asking right now is who do we think killed Felicia? And so we're on Jameson, and if they want to answer.
I also don't trust Tom,
Yeah.
but I do think that there's somebody coming in and out of the house or from the secret room, or I'm not sure. I don't have just one theory. I think I think they want us to think it's Sarah, but I have my own theories about Sarah. Um, I don't know that her mom was necessarily a terrible mother, although it's not the right way to do it. I think she intentionally made Sarah the way she is so that she would survive. Like, I think she knew she was going to have to take care of Gray. She was going to have to be this way to survive. Like, that's so I think we're supposed to think it's Sarah. I don't trust Tom, and I think that somebody's helping him, but I can't figure it out yet.
Yeah, I can see Liliana wanting to make her a survivor, and sometimes tough love is the only way to do that. But I feel like she was constantly berated and constantly compared and just over and over and over again. And it may have made her stronger, but it destroyed her interactions with everyone. She's just completely, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's definitely over the top and too much, and but I feel like
It was
I
for a
don't know.
reason.
Maybe we won't find that out, but that's kind of a feeling I get about it.
I hope we do. I hope we do. Emily, I saw your comment. And okay. He thought he may be slow, autistic. Raymond's sorry father. I got into the book, the more I think he got something sinister to him. So here's I want to hear your opinion so bad. So when he has this hand bandage, Lily says, "Oh no, Gray's doing it again." And he has to convince her that he didn't hurt himself again, that he did it chopping wood in Sarah's room. But at one point, he did self-harm. So I'm curious. I also thought, is he autistic? What is it? Has he been abused and minimized? I'm really curious your take. Let's hear it.
Um, okay, yeah, I'm unmuted. I don't think I understand that like he had done it before, right? But she says he like pulls down his sleeve to try and cover it, but then he says it's not what you think. I think that when they were moving the body, because he grips the knife to steady it when they're putting to Sarah explained that. I think that was where he kind of cut himself. Um, but I think Gray's involved. Like that's where my brain is going at this point because I don't think it was clear that the person in the room with Sarah as they were getting it on was Holly. Lily kind of goes down this, it could be this person, maybe it's Holly, and she's listening, but she can't really hear the person. She just says she can hear a low voice of somebody like softly speaking to Sarah, but she hears Sarah. So clearly there's sex happening. Like she can tell that, but she can't tell who it is. And so she suspects it's Holly. But then Sarah makes that comment about following her. But then she says, because if you're gonna go looking for keys, like I'm gonna follow who I think is gonna look for the keys, like then I don't have to go and follow them.
Are you saying that you think Gray and
It
Sarah?
was either Gray and Sarah potentially, because she is so up his ass about everything. He does everything she tells him to.
Yeah.
The whole reason why when they were kids, Lily was locked in, I
Yes.
think it was the cellar. He admitted it was because Sarah didn't want her to win, didn't want Lily to win. So he's doing everything that Sarah wants to please Sarah to keep Sarah from having a fit. So it could be that the two of them are having an incestuous relationship, or maybe they're actually not biologically related. We don't know,
We don't.
especially with how Liliana treats the kids. That we do see those glimpses. I wonder if Liliana is actually dead. I wonder because I think that the murders now are related in some way to Mariana's death. And so, if Liliana was involved or knows something, did she fake her death in order to have this
Possible.
game played? She knows that the true heir to the property is Lily anyway. So there's a lot of different avenues you could look at, and I would say, from a writing perspective, it is geniusly orchestrated because it is so misleading. And that's a good point, Sarah, Robin, that Sarah does say she doesn't object necessarily to cousins getting it on. So is it her and Tom? Because Tom, though I like the dichotomy of his character, um, he's messing with people's minds. He's highly manipulative.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
think that he's genuine though when it comes to Ronnie and Philippa's murder, because like he doesn't know how to really handle that. But he's got his own traumas and he's got his own perspectives, and so I think that it's certainly possible that Gray is involved. I don't trust him at all. There is something going on with him, but it could be a completely outside person we haven't met yet that Sarah is involved with. Maybe that's who she's sleeping with in that bedroom,
Oh
and
my
that
God.
person is going around and murdering people. Who knows? We're gonna find out.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
my
This is
brain is all 12
all over
different
the place.
directions.
This family is like above the flowers in the attic, like psychosis. Like this is like the most disturbed, complicated family I have ever read about. Like I'm just my mind, and I kind of relate to them because it's the honestly the only people fictionally or non, in real life that I've ever seen that has lost that many family members in the way that I have. So I have like 8 dead family members. They have so many. It's hard to read about all the grief because I have that. But this family is just like a whole new world of wackadoodle for me. It's hard for me not to go down rabbit holes. Aaron, you're really, really good at predicting. You have an intuition and you've proven it over and over again. So I'm just curious what your gut is saying.
Well, I am also suspicious of Tom, but mostly of Gray. Only because I'm suspicious of Tom because I don't really feel like he is being genuine when it comes to like being excited for her to find all these clues. I feel like he's doing it, I don't know, for some sort of I don't know. I just don't think that he wants I don't know. I just don't feel like that's genuine. But also, like, why did he lie to her about what he was going to tell them? Because she said, please don't tell them I was locked in here. And he's like, I won't. I'll tell them I was. And then he immediately goes in and says, we were locked in. But I'm really suspicious of Gray. I also think that there could be something wrong with him because even from the very beginning, didn't it say like he had tomato soup all over his face and
He
Sarah
did
was like wiping him with a napkin or something?
tomato
So
soup or some kind of soup.
yeah, something. But I also think that he would probably do whatever he can to like help Sarah win because that's why I said, do you think he accidentally locked her in the ice house? I don't think so. I think it was on purpose because then she had this memory of him locking her in the basement, just like Emily brought up. So I feel like if he locked her in the basement for Sarah to win, what was it, like a hide and seek contest or something, he's going to lock her in the ice house so Sarah can win this house that she wants.
Oh,
So I
that
don't
makes
know.
a lot of sense. I'm very, very curious. Okay, next question is going to be a thumbs up. There's a two-parter. Do we think that Mariana is really dead? So I at first thought because of the coat she wasn't dead, but then I went back and I read Lily's interpretation, and her neck is like really broken. And so I'm wondering if she like somebody came up and kind of did that maneuver where you like kill somebody instantly or if she was hung. But we know now because of the coat and like the anagrams that she didn't slit her wrist. Do you think that she said the grandma was a spy? She did coded things. Like she could hide somebody. She could put them in a protection plan. So I'm just curious. Do you think her mom's dead? And it's a thumbs up if so, and a thumb. Okay, so we're all on the same page. We think she's dead. Okay. Jameson, do you think she's dead?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. How about Liliana? Do we think she's dead? Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of here with that. I don't. Everybody's torn. I almost wonder if she's the killer, but she's old. I don't know. Okay. Okay, that was the big question. The next thing I wanted to move on to a little bit of Udi's questions. Do you think that the murders, well, we'll just start talking about Lily's baby. We'll start back with Aaron. This is a two-parter. Do you think the murders have to do with the baby in some way? And who do you think the father is? Or do you think that there's like a sperm donor type of thing?
Well, she said that she had somebody, like she was in a relationship with someone,
Mhm.
and she told him. So I think I feel like that's actually who the dad is. I don't think that she's fibbing about that. Do I think the murders have to do with the baby? I don't know. Maybe because I mean, I tell my husband pretty much anything. So I feel like Philippa or Philip, whatever her name is, she knew, right? She came up to Lily and she was like, whatever, whatever. I don't remember what she said. So she probably told Ronnie. And
Yeah,
that, I mean, maybe. So they're the two that know. But now we also know that Mrs. Castle knows, and Mrs. Castle's not dead yet. And now Tom knows, and Tom's not dead. So I don't know. I have no
yeah.
idea.
I
I
don't
mean,
know yet either.
what else could it have been?
Yeah.
Other or they're also the two that really wanted the house because
It
she had
doesn't
like,
matter if she doesn't want it. That baby's the rightful heir. This whole
yeah,
game means nothing if this baby survives.
yeah, that's true. I don't
That
know.
contract is null, right? Isn't that what that means? Like she signed, she doesn't get it, but the baby does, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Does everybody else gather that? Yeah, like
I
this
guess
whole
so.
game means nothing. And I think part of Lily knows that. And I think that's why she doesn't care if she wins or not.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
true. I don't know. It's so hard to know.
It is a big question. How about you, Emily? What are your thoughts?
Can you repeat it? Sorry. I was fixing my heater and so I got a little lost. What was the question again?
Oh, so it's a two-parter. Do we think that the murders are linked to Lily's baby being a secret? And then who do we think Lily's baby daddy might be? Do you think there's a dad? Do you think he's going to have a role in this? Do you think it was IVF? Like that sort of thing.
Well, she says that they had a relationship she thought was going to be a whole thing, and that when she told him about the baby, like he was like deuces. So I think he exists. I don't think he really has anything to do with it. I don't think he comes back in really later. I don't think he is important. I don't think the murders have anything to do with the baby because we have a lot of characters, as Aaron pointed out, that know. I think Sarah may be the only one who doesn't know.
I think you're right.
Um, and if Sarah's the only one that doesn't know and Gray knows, then makes you wonder even more about Gray. You know, is he playing Sarah as well? I think he's playing everybody. I think Tom also is. Um, but I don't think it has to do with the baby. I don't think the murders do. I think the murders have to do more with um, either Mariana's death and Liliana's death, since we're not sure if she's actually dead. And also, I think the murder and each additional murder has to do with Lily. Because the people who have
Mhm.
died are people who Lily loves,
Mhm.
who are close with Lily, who value Lily. Whether they're playing her or not, they value her. You have to think about it. Ronnie valued her. Philippa approached her and was like, hey, look, if we do this, we can just do this together. Not we want it. She was like, we could do this together. You don't have to be part of here. You don't have to be part of it, but you could if you want to and live here with the baby. And Ronnie could run the kitchen and I would run everything else. And you would just get to be here and live
Yeah.
here. Right. And so then Ronnie's like, I've got to tell you something, but then he's murdered. And Tom knows. So now who's got a target on their back?
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and so the other two, you know, Rachel and Holly, like they care about Lily. The only one that doesn't care about Lily is Sarah.
This is true. This is true.
And,
I
but
didn't
but I
even think
wonder whether or
about
not
it
Gray
that
actually
way.
even does. Yeah, but I wonder whether or not Gray actually cares about anybody but Gray. Which is why I say I wonder if he's on the spectrum,
Right.
because for a lot of people on the spectrum, like most, we are capable of love. Like, don't get me wrong. Um, I love my people, but there can be that disconnect and that inability to bond with some people if there's also some sociopathic tendencies in there.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if Gray is a sociopath. Yes, it can be hard to have that empathy. Yeah, 100%. For a lot of people on the spectrum, it is a learned behavior that you learn to have that compassion and the empathy.
And he was not
Um,
taught that by his mother.
no, and so he's not taught that. And if he is on the spectrum, that's harder for him. And he is at that level of difficulty with communication and difficulty with connection and difficulty in social situations. Um, then yeah, you date someone with autism. Yeah. Yeah. My son's autistic and I'm autistic, and so I get it. It can be hard. But with Gray, I think that it's certainly possible that he has learned to emulate caring. And so he emulates this softer kind of spoken caring about people and just kind of doing what Sarah asks him to do. But if he's truly a sociopath,
You are
um,
really building a case for him that
yeah,
I
I
have not
know.
even
Sorry.
considered. No, no.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah. So
neurodivergent. I'm on the spectrum too. But I am more so like Lily. So I see puzzles and anagrams and things like that really well and have like a really high IQ. But whatever the empathy part is, I have. So it was hard for me to see him in that way, but you're making a really good point. Yeah,
yeah.
but I didn't
Yeah, like I
consider.
have the empathy too, my son does, but I know I've worked with kids on the spectrum and my son also works with kids on the spectrum, and it's very common for them to not. And a lot of people on the spectrum have to they mimic it. It's
Oh,
not true. Like they know that they should feel empathy, and so they know how to project the empathy, but they're not actually feeling it and connecting it. Yes, it
oh,
is a form of masking.
masking. Yeah. How about you, Jameson? So do you think Lily's baby is going to is playing a role in the murders? And do you think that the baby daddy somehow has a role here? Because if it was a rogue person and the heir to the house is the baby, then he has something to gain. He has a motive.
I don't think so. I don't think it's I don't think the paternity of the baby has anything to do with it. I don't think the murders have a lot to do with the baby. I think they have more to do with Lily's paternity and what really happened to her mom.
So why doesn't anybody question Lily?
I think they're trying to keep her from finding out. That's what I mean when I say that. I think they're trying to keep her from finding out the truth about her mom, about
Yeah.
who her dad is. I think somebody knows who her dad is. Um, just the way
Okay.
she described that relationship, I just don't think that it has a lot to do with like her baby's dad. The way she described that, I just don't feel like it has a lot to do with.
It's just a random. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting. Like it's a protection of her. How about you, Karen? Do you have a theory on the baby and like the role that it's going to play and the dad?
Um, I agree with a lot of the other ones. I don't believe the paternity of Lily's baby is part of the story, but I am on the borderline of whether her being pregnant is somehow tied into this. Um, I think somebody knew this before they came that she was pregnant
Mm-hmm.
because according to the book, she's already like 5 months pregnant and hasn't
Yes.
told anybody yet. But we don't know if Liliana knew she was pregnant. Um, So
Mhm.
I think there might be a slight tie to about her pregnancy, but I also feel that the murders are related more to what happened to Mariana's and maybe again something with Lily's paternal father.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I do. I think we all kind of are going in that direction. What about you, Melissa?
I I think that it's going to come into play somehow. I don't think directly, maybe indirectly, like maybe he knows one of the cousins or Liliana or maybe like Mrs. Castle's son or something, like pretty like indirect that somehow because Aunt Liliana said she had her suspicions that Lily was pregnant. And I'm wondering if she knew that because she knows who baby dad is
Like a
somehow.
setup, like a
Maybe,
paid thing?
maybe because they did want her to inherit the house.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe, but
She's
I think
that
she's going to come
diabolical.
into play somehow.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of. Okay, Udi, how about you?
I think the baby does have something to do with it. I'm not sure exactly what, but it wasn't until people started verbalizing that she knew that she was pregnant that they started dying. So Felipa came to her first, was like, "Hey, I know you're pregnant. I can see it. Like, yeah, I noticed it." Everybody else was hinting, and then when they verbalized it, so now that people have verbalized it, like, it's out there. They hear her that she's pregnant, and they're like trying to silence it, maybe.
Hmm.
So, or Miss Castle is the one doing it, and she wants her to inherit the house.
Oh,
I think something's going with that baby because I think Liliana is still alive, knows that she was pregnant, and is playing the long game because she does love to play games. She's been planning this game for how long?
yeah. Every Christmas, right? Like,
Yeah, they do this every year.
yeah.
So this is just like another, and this is like a juicy secret. And I feel like this family just loves juicy secrets, you know?
Yeah. Something is not right
So
with
they
this
like to,
family.
I
Yeah.
feel like they like to out each other and be like, hey, like, you see so and so over there? Yeah, that's why. I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen with that baby.
I think so too. How about you, Melody?
Um, I don't know. At first, I didn't think that, but like as I've been sitting here listening to everybody, I'm wondering if the baby's dad is Mrs. Castle's son, like an illegitimate son that nobody knows exists. Um, and then I also thought, what if Lily was the one that killed Philippa and Ronnie? Because she knows that the house is going to her heir, and Philippa's like, "Hey, let's do this together. Let's do this together. Let's have the house together." And she's like, "Huh? I don't think so." I
I
mean,
was,
I don't.
why is she not a suspect for the murders? Is what I was wondering. Like,
Yeah,
she's severely traumatized. She has a
yeah.
lot to gain. Like, why is she not a suspect? And we don't trust her as a narrator.
And it could be like
Um,
it's not multiple personality disorder anymore. I can't,
it's
dissociative
DID,
disorder or
dissociative
something.
identity disorder.
Yeah, I,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
that's very, especially historically, it has you usually have to experience extreme trauma before the age of 5. But with what she went through at 12, she could have split. That is a very good sound thing that could happen.
Right.
Robin, how about you?
Okay, what was the original question?
Sure, sure. So the original question was a two-parter. Um, so do you think the murders could be linked to Lily's baby in the secret of it? And then also, do we think the baby daddy has something to do with the murders or plays a role in what's happening?
So I definitely think that the murders have to do with the baby because like someone said earlier, like as soon as someone voices, then they're getting killed, basically. So like I do think, and I think that um with the fact that it would make the game like null and void. It has like it definitely. I feel like someone's trying to silence
Right. Okay.
that. So I do, but I don't know. Now y'all made me like think about it with the like conspiracy theories of who baby daddy might be. Like so now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. I need to go back and like look at it again
Me
and
too.
kind of see. But I'm also wondering, I came in like at the tail end of you guys talking about who might or might not be dead. And I wonder if Edward and is her name Veronica are actually dead because
Victoria,
isn't
the parents, Edward and Victoria of
yeah,
Tom and Ronnie.
and
I've
whether
wondered that.
they might be interfering in a way to pull the house back into their or something. I don't know. Yeah.
I wonder, I don't know if they're part of the murders because that's like their son, but I was wondering if
Yeah.
that was what Ronnie was about to tell her. Like,
Yeah,
I
I'm very
don't think any of
interested.
our parents are dead.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then like isn't there something about one of the clues and Lily says, is Liliana trying to point me towards Uncle Edward? And she's like, no, of course not. And then she's like, I almost couldn't believe. Almost. So that made me go,
Hmm.
is something going on there? So then I'm also distrustful of Tom.
Very interesting. Tara, what is your take? Do you have a different, like, like flip to the coin?
I agree with pretty much what everybody else has said. That feels like the baby doesn't necessarily have anything to do with it. I don't think there's anything with the dad either. But I feel like if everybody but Sarah knows, like, why didn't they do something to Lily sooner? I guess if it had to do with the baby.
Right.
So I just don't think it's because of the baby.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Tiff, how about you? Do you have a theory? I have a feeling you got something gut going on with it.
I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with the baby,
Mhm.
but I keep thinking about Ronnie said that Philippa was going to check on someone, and that was like when she died. And I'm like, who was she going to check on? Like, I'm trying to figure out who it was that she's going to check on, and it makes me wonder if like there's a certain group of people that maybe are in on things together, and maybe there's like one or two people that are just not, and they're not included.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Sarah doesn't know. Like Sarah puts up a big front, but then she's like banging Holly on the side, but she talks really bad about Holly too. So
Yeah.
like sorry, I didn't mean to be so like abrasive when I said that, but like
No, 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 no,
just
I
like
get it.
what I'm thinking, like I'm like, so I don't know, like she is like, yeah, so I don't know. I feel like there's a group of people that like maybe have had made these plans, and maybe it involves Liliana too, that
I
like
think you're
she's alive and she's making these plans with the people she wants to make the plans with.
Well, we know Liliana, Miss Castle, and Isabel are on like a core team to plan this. So we know that that is part of it. I just wonder, you may be onto something. Are there others in that group that know more than what everyone else does? I think you might have hit a nail on the head with it. The only last question I wanted to ask you guys that we haven't really talked about is who do you think will die next? That was the only other question that we haven't really speculated on. So we'll start back with you, Tiff.
Um, because so Ronnie's dead, Philippa's dead, and who do I think will die next? I feel like it's gonna be Rachel or Holly.
I would,
I
yeah.
kind of lean towards Rachel.
Okay. Okay. Tara, how about you? That dang mute button. We all
I
struggle
don't
with
know
it.
what is wrong with this thing today. I think also Rachel or Holly.
Uh-huh. I can see that. I can see that. Robin, how about you? Robin may have
I'm
stepped in.
also having unmute issues over here. Same. I think Rachel or Holly. I'm leaning towards Rachel at this point.
Does anybody think that it could be anybody other than Rachel and Holly? Raise your hand if you think. Okay, okay. Udi, let's go to you.
I'm gonna be blunt. I want it to be Sarah. I just wanted her to eliminate the bitch.
Yeah.
She's just so rude, and the way she was just what she said, like, yeah, life goes on, and then Ronnie just turns and walks away right after his wife. That
Cruel.
I don't like her. She's mean. I hope that she's next.
Hmm. I would rather sit with somebody who is mean and honest than a liar, a fake. But I have respect for her only because of that. But she is a bitch. So I will say that. I will validate that. Absolutely. How about you, Melissa? I saw your hand was up.
I'm going the Clue way, and I think it's going to be Mrs. Castle, like someone who's not really involved, but she's like learning a little too much. So I think she's next.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Maybe. Jameson, I couldn't see if you had a hand raised. And I don't, did you have one, Karen? Do you think it's Rachel or Holly? Okay. How about you, Jameson?
Sorry, my mute button moved. Um, I was also thinking it's either going to be Rachel or Holly.
Yeah.
I,
Okay.
I think it's probably. I was thinking actually it's going to be Holly because I think we're supposed to think that that's who Sarah was with, but I don't. I don't think that's who it was.
Okay. How about you, Emily? Did you have a hand?
So I would love to see the absolute cunt face of Sarah die. However, I don't think she's going to. From a writing perspective, I think the characters that are going to stick around the longest
Mm-hmm.
are going to be the ones that trigger the largest emotional response from the reader, which is going to
She's the
be Sarah,
antagonist.
Gray, and Tom. They're going to stay along with obviously Lily. Um, but I think that Mrs. Castle is an extension of Liliana. So we're not going to lose Mrs. Castle. I think what we're going to lose is we're going to lose Rachel or Holly.
Yeah. Or both.
Or both. Well, eventually probably both. But
Yeah.
I think that's who we're going to lose is one of them next, just because that is going to trigger an emotional response in a we love those characters, right? We love
Right.
those characters. They're sweet. They're caring. They're a little bit feisty, and talk back at Sarah. And so we love those characters. So you're gonna
Mhm.
have this massive emotional response to their death, but not in a the bitch got it, which is what we would have if it was Sarah. So she's gonna stick around, and we're gonna get a deeper look into Sarah's character and why she is the way she is, and whether or not it's a true character flaw or if it's a defense mechanism on why she is that way.
That's interesting. I love your comment, Melissa. We're going to have a whole shit ton of orphans. Yeah. How about you, Aaron?
this is what I this is what I want to happen. Not that I want anybody else to die, but I think next it will be Holly. Only because that'll be like the catalyst for all of the juicy secrets to come out. Because then Sarah, if Sarah was actually sleeping with Holly and they're having a relationship, they're going to wonder, like, Sarah, why are you taking this so hard? Like, you didn't even really like her, because she's going to be crying about it. And then all of the juicy secrets are going to start to spill. And then that's how it's all going to unravel. I feel like that's going to be the first
Oh,
the
yeah.
first secret to come out. So that's what I
Oh,
hope happens.
oh gosh. Okay, well, a lot has to happen, and we don't have a lot of book left. So we're going to go ahead and finish it for next week. And does anybody have any questions or concerns that we have not covered yet? I feel like we got through discussion the meat of all of these questions. But I think that's also, did we talk about Sarah's wardrobe? No, Robin. What about her wardrobe?
Well, because like it was mentioned something about her wearing lots of like designer stuff, but apparently she's a teacher.
Oh,
Is that no? Did nobody else? Okay.
yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't know if that was like brought up.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't
No.
mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna spend the next couple of days going back and rereading, and then I'm gonna finish the book. Emily, you have a isn't um Lily the one who makes her own garment?
Yeah, Lily makes her own.
Okay. 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 Aaron, you have a thought?
I think we just barely touched on it last week, and we assumed that they got some sort of inheritance,
Yes,
like
I
life
think.
insurance policy or something. But I
Well,
think it was just
definitely
very
them.
briefly touched on.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very curious. I cannot wait to see what happens and discuss it more. The last thing I wanted to ask you guys, you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this. I was going to do a poll in our group, but since this is our core people, I just want to ask, do you want to take 2 weeks off and come back? So we'll have next week, take 2 weeks off and come back in January? Or do you want to pick up a book the next week after next week and start again? Or do you feel like because of the holidays we need that 2 weeks? And you can thumbs up if it's a yes, you want to take the 2 weeks, or thumbs down if you want to keep going. Oh, you guys want to keep, okay, okay. So we're gonna do the poll and we'll get some more feedback because this is a tie. And we'll see what we need to do. My feeling was maybe we need to take a break because people can't make it, but we'll see. Otherwise, and we're gonna do a poll this week for the next book because we still have to pick it anyway. So woohoo on that. I love you guys. Happy reading. Thank you so much for coming. Have a wonderful week. Bye.